thought I'd intellectually dismantle some of her talking points here, or at least just react to them, I guess. I mean, there's some stuff I probably can agree with anyone on, and there's some things I will disagree with, of course. So let's go.
Watch this video from beginning to end.
And we're just gonna jump right on into Black men, this is for you. It's not to hurt you, it's not to disrespect you, but yeah, we need to talk. So, there's a black man who lived.
That basically means don't get mad at me, please, but I have something to criticize you on. But let's continue.
In Thailand, and he's basically promoting and telling black men why they should come live in Thailand because the women down there are more submissive and respectful. And he basically said, in a video, he has a beautiful woman in the video. Like I said, I love looking at beautiful people because I love admiring beauty. In a video, he's showing how the woman is very submissive to him. And I have a question for black men. How come every other race of man has his woman in check, but y'all? The Asian man, he got his woman in check. Even though white women scream that feminist bullshit, they know who their leaders are. It's their men. The Arab man, he got his woman in check, even though they be cutting bitches' heads off down there, you know. But they call black people the minority, and that's not true. But the definition of a minority is a minor. And we all know what we gotta do.
Actually speaking, no. They're a minority because they're a minority compared to the population as a whole. We're definitely not the majority. And more importantly, I think in this conversation, you have to understand that Black American people don't specifically have a set culture. Therefore, we don't actually have a set people like you're trying to imply. Like Arab people have a culture in common. People who are of certain Asian heritages, they have a culture. You know what I mean? And this obviously does not mean all Arab culture is the same or all Asian culture is the same. No, that's not the case. But they have specific cultures. Like there's a Chinese culture, and within China, there are many cultures, by the way. They're not one type of people. There are many different types of people in China. And you could say that with many different Arab people as well, in many different Arab countries. That doesn't apply for Black Americans. And I understand you don't know this because you aren't culturally Black American. You don't understand this because you aren't really Black American because you're Creole. But culturally, Black Americans don't have a culture because you have to think, who made their culture? Who made Black Americans' culture? And to be completely honest with you, Black Americans didn't even make their own culture. It's a combination of everyone in the country, basically, that has the same culture. See, Black Americans and white Americans have the same culture. So you can't say that Black Americans made their culture, therefore you can't really say they're women like that. You get what I'm saying? You can't say, do they control their own women? Well, why would they? When their own culture and their own people and their own ways are not just shared among Black American people, but the customs of Black Americans are the same customs among white Americans too. So you get what I'm saying? Like, you're saying it in a cultural sense, but you can't look at Black Americans as a cultural subset. Black Americans are a racial subset, but they're not a cultural subset. So it's not going to work like a specific culture. And then you wonder why it's not working like a culture, you know, because you're treating it that way, and why it's failing in that way is because it's not a culture in the first place. Again, like I said, you wouldn't know this because you're Creole, but continue.
For a minor, you gotta minor, clothe the minor, keep a roof over the minor's head. You gotta think for the minor. So black men, you claim you want to be the leaders, but yet you let another race of man.
No, but the definition of minor is meaning not of major age, basically. You get what I'm saying? So it's not exactly in the same sense as a child, no, but as the sense of being of the minor population. If you get what I'm saying. So basically, Black Americans aren't the majority population. The majority of the population is white. And I know you don't want to see it that way. Maybe it's because of where you're from. Like I said, you are Creole. You come from an area probably that's majority black, but for the rest of us, we don't come from your culture and we don't come from your environment. So don't speak for other black people who don't come from your environment and aren't a part of your culture.
Wonder why your women are dysfunctional, why your children are lost. The same people that raped your women in slavery are the same people that are employing her, writing her checks, and teaching her how to disrespect you.
But you do understand that when you bring up the whole thing about rape, honestly, that has happened with both sexes. Why do we always make the importance of talking about it with black females? I don't get. Like, the history of that whole situation with both. And honestly, from what I read, it was a punishment for black males, which is, it was a really terrible time back then. Anyway, my point is, why are you bringing that up now? It's not like anyone's having that happen to them today. I mean, you are thinking in a sense of 200 years ago, while nobody has been alive 200 years ago. So, I mean, you need to let that go. And plus, anyway, what is the history of Creoles anyway in that time? Weren't you guys owning slaves, I think? So how are you blaming other people when your own ancestors did that yourself? I mean, like, I think that's kind of hypocritical. Anyway.
You let your kids who got raped in slavery by the same people, you let your kids go to these people's schools and teach them about their history. And you wonder why some of your children don't.
But you have to understand, if you think that you are different than the rest of the American population, then why are you in America? I don't get that. It's almost like you're a minority in America and you don't like the majority of Americans who are white, from how you're displaying it, basically. Saying it's their schools, their stuff, and you don't want to be a part of their different organizations. Then don't be in America where the majority of the organizations are going to have people of other races besides black people. You know, I know, like I said, you come from Louisiana and you are from a Creole background, so you have a different view, but most black Americans don't hate white people, and we're perfectly fine living with white people in our areas and things of that nature. What we're used to is actually seeing more white people than black people. You, like I said, are not from you're not from a place that is like the majority of America. So you don't comprehend what life is really like. But yeah, continue.
See, one thing I can say about that Jewish community, even though they had the Nazis had them in the Holocaust, once the Jewish community got out of the Holocaust, they said never again. Now they own banks, they own their own communities, and they own their own schools, so therefore they can teach their kids their history, even though.
But that's actually a major reason why in Germany they were able to be rounded up so quickly and destroyed. so quickly and efficiently at that, terribly at that. Obviously, I'm obviously not in favor of that, but I mean, like, they did. I mean, if they would have integrated with society, it would have been harder to decipher Jews from Germans, and they would not have been able to destroy the Jewish population the way they did, you know. And if you think of it, if we want to implement this on basically the Black American population, segregation and isolation of the Black population is a major reason why Black people have been mistreated in the past. Now, I don't think in this current day that they are mistreated, that we are mistreated, but I mean in our history, say slavery. It was clearly isolation and segregation that caused Black people to be mistreated in tremendous ways. And during the Civil Rights Act and movement and so forth, you can see that before there was a lot of segregation. If there was integration, which is what was fought for, there would be less mistreatment. So all you're really begging for is to be mistreated again and destroyed again, basically. Maybe a final solution situation, because I mean, like, it was bad enough during slavery and civil rights movements, but you know, if you're really going to try and turn it into an us versus them, do you know your population? Like, you sitting here acting as if you are 70% of the population, at least 50% of the population as a Black person. You're not. Like, get with reality.
History is full of shit too. They be lying about a whole lot of shit. It's called Jewish for a reason. Look up David Sheen, and he talks, and he's a Jew himself, and he talks about how the Jewish community treats Black people in Israel. And they don't want to talk about how bad they got skin cancer out there because they somewhere where they don't belong.
That is not true either. I don't think you comprehend a lot about history or genetics. Jewish people have Middle Eastern origins. At least 75% have have Middle Eastern origins. And Ashkenazi Jews specifically have Middle Eastern origin. You can easily look these things up. I don't understand. Why do you guys pull stuff out of your butt like this? Like, you could actually literally, come educated and actually research what you're talking about, so then you don't come off as if you're ignorant and don't know what you're talking about. But continue.
But like I was saying, you don't see the Jewish letting the Nazis teach their goddamn kids about their history. I say Germany. Now, this is what I'm saying.
When you use that analogy, it's quite incorrect. And the reason it's very incorrect is because white Americans aren't the descendants of slave owners like Black Americans are. Yes, I said that correctly. Black Americans are generally the descendants of slave owners, more than white Americans. And this might be why people like this, for example, have a lot of self-hate issues or issues of that nature, because it runs in the family. But that's why I think sometimes some of the anti-Blackness and anti-Black issues among Black people is actually ingrown into your families, basically, because if you look at Black Americans' DNA results, and I'm not talking about Creoles, because, Creoles even have more white ancestry than that, but Black Americans alone have like 1 out of 4 of their ancestors were slave owners. Not slaves, slave owners. People who are Creole, their percentage of people that were slave owners is a high percentage. One, because the Creole heritage, many mixed race people had slaves. Then let alone the white people had slaves. Many of them are about half, like they're 50-50, around 50-50 white and Black. So, because of those things, It's kind of like, why would you be talking about white Americans are the descendants of slave owners when really it's you? The majority of people of African descent are descendants of slave owners, while the majority of white people are not, because many come from families that were abolitionists, and then others come from families that were, for example, immigrants. Because a lot of white Americans don't have ancestry back to the time before the Civil War. So it's like, I never get why people try and blame slave owner or slavery on white people when it's black people who usually have slave owner ancestors. Just saying. I mean, you can't use the whole analogy of Nazis versus Jews with this. Continue.
Black men, you got a lot of work to do in your community before you could be thinking about running your ass to Thailand or somewhere else to another country or trying to be with another race of women. You worried about another.
And then there you go. That's what I mean. The bitterness and anger is always there with a mammy. Behind every mammy smile is a Cynthia G rage. And right there you saw that. Anywho, just pointing it out.
Man's woman. He got his woman in line already. He didn't put in the work with his woman. That's why his woman is submissive and sweet and respects him. Y'all can't even get your own woman that's a reflection of you to submit to you and respect you. That's an issue.
So what you're saying is because they haven't been able to find a black woman, it's their fault, you're angry at them, and they have some kind of burden to be committed to you. You have this kind of possessive idea of black men, in my opinion, because you're acting like they have to be beholden to you, like they have to choose you. They don't have to choose you. And you don't have any right in being angry at some other man not choosing you. Like, that's their personal business, and if they want whatever they want, hopefully it makes them happy at the end of the day, but it's none of your business, really, at the end of the day. Like, you can't be mad because they want another race of woman. You just have to focus on yourself finding happiness and not looking to black men as if they're not supposed to make the right choice for themselves in their life. If they prefer women of any race, that's their choice, And to me, honestly, it's just like, at the end of the day, we shouldn't be focused on what race someone else is dating. We should just encourage people to choose people that are a good match for them. Not dysfunctional relationships, but functional relationships, regardless of race, And among black Americans, many black Americans will find that will be outside of their race because they are a minority. But continue.
Black men, don't get it twisted. I know there's a lot of black women out here who are fucking crazy. Who know how to run a black man off. Trust me, believe, I know they out there. A lot of them be having funky attitudes. I don't know how anybody.
Well, obviously, acting possessive towards black men and acting like they have to choose you, they are obligated to choose you simply because you have the same skin tone as them, is definitely going to run someone off, because you are basically telling them that you don't have a choice and shame on you for choosing women of another race when it's his personal choice, his personal life, and you need to back off, really, honestly, and just do your own life. Do you. Stop worrying about another man. So that's all I have to say in this video. I'll do another video, but that's all I'm going to say for here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe and comment down below, and have a great day. Bye.